Hey, all you Ettins out there, CJ here again with episode 2 of In the Dragon's Den. This time we are hanging out with Chris Lowell, professional dungeon master and all-around pretty freaking cool guy.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
So Chris offers a really cool service for us. In addition to running just regular D&D games, he runs we call it the Premium D&D Experience. And we're going to tell you a little bit about it. So, Chris, what can you tell us about what you do with that?
So, the Premium D&D Experience is something I feel that any player really is looking for when he sits down at the table. And what that is you just try and give a full immersive experience to the player and let them feel like they're really living out their avatar's adventure in every way possible. So that includes trying to provide ambient music, trying to do the voices the best you can, providing props, and as well as terrain, so that way the visuals speak for themselves. You don't have to usually do a lot of the description, but description is always helpful, obviously. So, and then providing the proper 3D visuals really, amps it up a notch. And so it really opens the mind of the player and allows them to see, oh, wow, this is my imagination coming to life, like right here in front of me. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I know, like when you ran it for us, so we could get kind of a taste of what you did. I remember we walked into a dungeon and you said there was a green glow, and then you flipped a little thing and there was a green glow.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's a trap, you flip a tile and there's a trap there.
Exactly.
It's pretty incredible.
It is. And honestly, so there's a lot of different tiles out there that you can essentially amp your game up with. A lot of which you provide here at Etten. The Warlock tiles is really big, and the scatter terrain that you guys provide. I think it's called Monsters and Minis. I'm not 100% sure. It's
I think
something like that. That's a great one. It provides trees and rocks, and
those are all pre-painted.
And it comes straight out of the box, ready to go. All you got to do is put it together, and I mean, you can really amp up just by buying one piece of it. You can buy a couple trees, and then next thing you know, you have a garden, and it's just.
And those trees, don't the canopies come off so they can be living or dead trees?
Exactly. So it just changes the ambiance. So if you're walking to most people see a cemetery and it's like, oh, it's dead everywhere, even the trees. Even though most cemeteries are probably the greenest you'll ever see, because of all the dead people that are providing nourishment to the trees, but. It just adds that extra flavor. Like, clearly there's something dark afoot. And a lot of people really, resonate with that, especially with like Ravenloft, which is a campaign that really sets for that dread aspect of gaming, and what's really great is, it doesn't apply to just Dungeons and Dragons, though. It's one of those things where it's like you can use all that terrain that you have here for pretty much anything. Warhammer.
Yeah, that's true. It's all about the same scale.
Shadowrun, Rifts. I mean, that's just to name a couple. Hyporia that Ken runs on Tuesday. Hyperborea, yeah. So I mean, it's just when it comes down to the Premium Experience, though, so it's one of those things where you're just like, you're only limited by your own imagination. Each player. As a dungeon master, you want to try and, provoke the player into tapping into something they're not used to tapping into. Because a lot of players that sit at the table are newbies. They don't want to use a weird voice or try and, be something. They're just kind of like, I'm skittish. I don't know what I'm doing.
That comfort zone.
Exactly. Because you feel, you get made fun of when you do stuff like that a lot of times, like on. Just like it's like comedy skits and stuff like that. So you just like, you laugh at it like, oh my God, his voice is so weird. Like, but when you come in here, it's like, oh my God, I'm that guy. I'm doing the voice. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And so it takes a little bit to get used to. And so what's really great about the Premium Experience is when you come in here, you sit down, there's no judgment at the table. That's a beautiful thing about Dungeons and Dragons. When you come here, you're at home. It's, for me, and this is going to sound kind of like crazy, but I think about it like a campfire. Okay, and what we're doing is we're regaling our stories of our achievements. And when you sit down, you're living that story that all those characters went through, and you just happen to be the characters. You know, it's kind of like telling like campfire stories, you know, and like, but you get to see it live action, you know,
Right.
firsthand, and then it pops back, and then you're, you know, me as a dungeon master, I'm the narrator, so I'm the one telling you like, oh, this is what you see, or this is what happens, and you know, and then you got to react to it, and it's like, you know, but then you get to live out that campfire story, and it's one of those things that's what to me, because I don't know if you remember whenever you were a kid, you go out and you have a campfire. It's like camaraderie around the tent. Everybody's just kind of goofing around.
Yeah.
You might have a few drinks when you're an adult, you know, something along those lines, you know. And but you know, when I was in Boy Scouts, I remember we would just tell ghost stories and stuff like that, and you really get into those stories, you know. And so that's what you really want to do when you come and sit down at a Premium D&D Experience. Is you really want to get into the story, like, oh my gosh, this is only a one shot, but my character, what's going to happen? Where's he going to go here from here? You know, and so, and that's one of the beautiful things.
And so you offer a few different like tiers of this, right? And that's it's divided up into what different amounts of time.
Amounts of time.
First and foremost.
Amounts of detail.
Okay.
So I can first and foremost, I like to consider myself a writer. I've been writing for 20 plus years now, my own adventures, allowing people to play in my own world that I've created, you know, trying to write a book, and, you know, actually more than a book, it's more like a trilogy, you know, and also short stories. And so people get to run around in the world I've created, you know, and that's the fun thing about, you know, doing these things is like, or one of the many fun things is you get to really immerse yourself. And like, I know these things, I see where they're going. I'm like, oh man, this is where this happened last time, or, you know, like when you run somebody through, like, so the first tier is something like, I have pre-written adventures that I've run other people through, like, that I've, you know, play tested with other groups and just kind of had fun with. And it's always something different every single time. Someone always either goes left when they should have gone right, or, you know, like decided to, you know, just make a poor choice, and, you know, and then they end up, you know, discovering something they shouldn't have. And as a DM, you got to play off of that and see their reactions, because a lot of times you're not prepared for a lot of the silly stuff that people want to do. So you got to be able to jump on that and go, okay, well, this is what happens. Now you're SOL. Like, what are you going to do? There's a massive, you know, blob coming towards you at, you know, 60 miles an hour, and you're right in the line of, you know, the line of fire. And so it's really cool. And then as you get closer to the higher tiers, that's where the details come in. I sit down and I try and communicate with you, get some details as to what you're looking for in an adventure, and then I write you a personal adventure from scratch. Nothing pre-made, nothing like that. It's all something that I create for what you're looking for. And what that entails is I will actually make you a map of something, like, say you're on a treasure hunt. I will have a map that's X marks the spot, and then you get to open it up and unfurl it and look at it and like really get your hands on it. And it's not just a piece of paper. It actually looks like it's an old treasure map. You know, it's like it's you know, back in the day when we used to have to do this kind of stuff, it was, you had to dip the paper in tea, and you had to cook it in the oven and like do all these silly things.
Yeah, I think I had a couple of history projects where I had to do something like that, make the Declaration of Independence.
And that's where I learned that from, was from history class when I was in high school. And but now they actually sell it to you. Like, you can actually go to like a hobby store, like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something like that, and they'll actually sell it, and it's really relatively inexpensive. So, and then you'll get like a prop. Or what I also like to do is, like, when people jump into an adventure, you know, most people don't really want to start off at level 1. Everyone's like, oh, level 1 is so lame, I can't do anything. For me, level 1 is you're getting to know your character, and you're just trying to, especially if you're doing a campaign, level 1 is important, because it's you see where you want to go. You see how hard it is going to be, and how much more you want to improve. And it's just like, it's how you develop your character. the struggle is real, if you know what I mean.
And especially being the storyteller that you are, you like to have those early origins,
right,
kind of built into the game. Yeah.
But most people, when they do the premium experience, want to kind of jump in at a certain tier of experience, so that way it's they can come in and hit harder and do more attacks or have more options. And so usually, I mean, I sit down and I work with whoever's wanting to purchase the premium experience, and I'll provide my own D&D Beyond, so that way you have access to all the books. I provide, and that way you have access to all the races, classes, everything that you could potentially be in Dungeons and Dragons. You have options, and then I also, whenever I provide them with that, I tell them like, hey, what level do you want to be at? And that way I can set in the adventure like, okay, this is where we're going to go with this. What do you want to see? Well, and a lot of it that we've done is we've had several birthday parties. And a couple of them are like, oh, they want to fight a dragon. I'm like, okay, well, level 5's a little iffy for a dragon. Yeah. Like, even the lowest dragon could pretty much wipe out the whole party. So let's work on that. Like, so what else is a dragon? Well, a wyvern's a dragon. And the new mini that came in the Sand and Stone set for Icons of the Realm is amazing. And it's literally like, it's pretty big, and it's only a challenge rating like 5 or 6. And that's relatively easy to handle. And so, okay, now we have, you want to see creature. Now, so how do you want to get there? So what else do you want? And, oh, no, that's it. We just kind of want to fight a dragon at the end. It's like, okay, well, I'll take you there, and we'll go, we'll do this crazy dance where it's like, okay, so you start off here, and I really enjoy writing a letter, because most of the time if you come in at level 5, you're a hardened adventuring group already. Yeah,
and you know each other.
So the local Adventurers Guild has reached out to you, and they want you to come in and help, and they're willing to offer you a pretty high bounty for going and dealing with a unknown terror. And then there you go. Now you have the board set. Okay, so everybody's like, okay, we're going to go here. Okay, let's do our shopping, small, minute things. Like, okay, I got this X amount of money. Let's go do this. And then, boom, you're in the adventure. And it's amazing because, like I said, everybody always does something different. And things you expect, like, because you're like, I was a player first, so I'm thinking what I would do. Like, okay, I do this way, I do that. It's like, no, there's obviously something underneath this rock, and I got to get it because it's sitting here in the middle of this field. And it's like,
there's never been a game, no matter what system I'm running, because I'm forever DM also, where there's never been a game where somebody hasn't done something that's made me go,
questionable.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Exactly. And you have to, you gotta adjust things on the fly, because the one thing you don't really want to do, especially when people are having fun, is you want to railroad them. And for those who don't know what railroading is, it's just giving you a linear path and trying to keep you on that path the whole time instead of allowing you to branch off. And so it's very important to allow your people to be creative that are at the table, because that fuels your creativity. You know what I mean? And so as a storyteller, it's beautiful to see people just kind of go, oh, okay, let's do this, and then they come together and like, no, we got to go here, and I want to try and jump on the dragon. And so it's just one of those beautiful things where you really try and create that team building experience. And that's another thing that's great about Dungeons and Dragons. I've actually had several people reach out to me who wanted to potentially do a team building exercise for their business, which is something that we've actually been considering. Anyway, they offered me a job and everything, and I'm just like, this would be great, and you can do this and this, and we came up with several ideas. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, is it going to be profitable for me in the end? But it is also one of those great things, especially if you're doing like a sporadic thing, kind of like jumping in, like, okay, let's do a team building exercise. Like, we had a party here that was an entire, I think it was like 9 people.
It was the Christmas party?
Yeah, it was their Christmas party. Awesome. And it was a team building experience for that whole company. And they came in, they sat down, and they worked together. And it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, they had a good time.
Yeah, it was really great. That was probably one of my favorite adventures. And it's just got crazy. You know, when you have that many people at the table,
that's a lot of players.
Yeah, it gets crazy and it gets loud, and you always want to try and make sure somebody has a say at the table, and so you try and work your way around and make sure it's kind of fair.
Everybody gets their time in the spotlight.
Exactly. And that's another thing that you should, when I try and focus on a premium experience, it's not just the person that paid for the experience wants it. They want the whole table to have that experience, and so we focus on trying to make sure that everybody's included at the table. It doesn't matter what you want to be, doesn't matter what you want to do. Say your piece. Let's see what you got, and then we'll go from there. We'll try and work with it, you know. And that's another great thing about that I do with the premium experience. Whenever I communicate with them about what they are going to do and how they want to go about it, I ask them character details, like, do you want to have like flaws? Do you want to, do you really want to immerse yourself in this, or is it just going to be a one shot? You guys already know how you want to play, and most of the time it's, we already know how we want to play. We already know how we want. But if you could throw in like a few curveballs and stuff, it's like, okay, no problem. I have plenty of puzzles in my head that I will gladly run you through a gauntlet of that's the silliest riddle I've ever heard, and it's like the easiest thing you could possibly think of, and most of the time they just kind of goes out of left field, you know. But it's a wonderful, it's really a great thing, you know.
Yeah, I agree, and we're really lucky to have you, and we're glad to have you doing this kind of stuff for us. Which brings us to we've got something coming up on Labor Day.
Yes. So Labor Day we have 2 sessions. We have the noon to 4 session, which I believe is already full, unfortunately. But there may be last minute openings. You never know. It's going to have 7 people at the table, not including myself, so it'll be 8 technically with me. But the 5 to 9, I believe, 5 to 9, because it's 12 to 4, and then it gives me an hour break to where I can set up and do the next adventure. And then 5 to 9, and that one isn't full yet. That one's only got 3 or 4 players right now. So jump on that if you can.
Sign up on Meetup.
Meetup, yes.
So, and I'll put a link to that down in the description.
And so it's going to be really cool. The first adventure it's called the Thief, the Dream, and the Scepter. That one is going to be obviously dealing with some interesting aspects of thievery, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. And then the second episode, which is going to be the 5 to 9, actually I forgot the name that I gave it, which is absolutely horrible. But that one is going to be something similar it's called the Edge of Sanity.
Okay.
And so essentially there's some tomfoolery afoot, and you are going to be hired by the king in hopes of dealing with the situation. It's gonna be crazy. Cool. It's gonna be so cool. I have a lot of traps and interesting things planned for that one.
And is there a cost, or can anybody just join?
Anybody can join, but there is a cost. There is a meetup cost of $15. Okay. You pay through it online, and then that gets you at the table.
Well worth it, trust me.
Yeah. And so $15 gets you a seat at the table, and it's super comfortable seats, ambient effects. I'm gonna have the whole shebang, just like a regular premium experience that anybody would pay for, and it's just gonna be epic.
Awesome.
You know, I'm totally excited. It's gonna be all day fun. Awesome. Dungeons and Dragons. So if you have time, or this, given the fact this is our first major holiday since the summer ended, we're gonna be playing D&D all day, man. It's gonna be great.
And it's beginner friendly.
Beginner friendly, right? Yes. It doesn't matter how much experience you have. I have 35 years, so
he's a good teacher.
It's no problem. I have no problem walking people through whatever they need to learn or anything like that. We're all patient here, so cool. It's a great thing.
Well, man, Chris, thanks for chatting with me. If anybody wants to try the Premium D&D Experience, you can just hit us up here at the store, chat with us online, and then one of us will get in touch with Chris. We can coordinate dates and make that work for you, and we'll get you guys in touch. But it's definitely something you want to experience. It's incredible. So, but yeah, thanks, man.
Excellent,
I
man. No problem.
it, man.
Appreciate it,
Thanks
man.
a lot.
Of course.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.